Hey folks, this is Brian. We got a chance, well, it's Labor Day weekend, right? And so I figured there'd be folks taking off for the weekend, for the holiday, right? So I asked my guys, hey, is Friday a good day? Is there another day this weekend that might work better than another? In fact, I want to say one of my players came up saying that he would not be able to play Friday because they're taking off. So we coordinated amongst each other and decided to play on Thursday night. Now, I've been getting up early on the weeknights. I take my son to a before school Bible study thing. And so I'm getting up at 5:30, and I know for some people that's not early, but for most people it is. And so I dropped him off at 6. I just head into work. It takes me half an hour to get there. So at 6:30, I'm at work, do my 8 hours, and take off early. But Friday's part of the school holiday, so he didn't have to get up, and so they didn't have the Bible study, and so I didn't have to get up that early. But my son needed to use the wife's car, so I had to take the wife to the train. So I ended up getting up at like I guess it was 6. I was trying to hope for 7, but so we played. What that boils down to is we played Thursday night because Thursday night would still work playing late because I didn't have to get up as early Friday morning. So again, I had all kinds of audio issues. I don't know what was going on. I ended up using the mic off of my host laptop because it's got the camera to the grid. And I could hear fine from people there, and people there could hear me fine, so it worked out. But the recording was off of my personal laptop, this one. Captured the video, but no audio at all. So there's no live play in the description. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. I'm going to have to mess with this audio stuff because it was really weird because before I started playing it, because I got off early, like I said, I go in early, I get out early. So I hooked up my 2 laptops on Discord video call, checking the map, putting on my headset, working it out, talking to myself, turning mics on and off and speakers on and off so I get the reverb and the repeat and that kind of stuff to see if it's all getting captured on the video capture. And it was. I have no idea what happened because when we pushed the video call out for everybody else, everybody got on, and at first I couldn't hear them. So I ended up dropping out of the call and getting back in, and I could hear them, but they still couldn't hear me. So I did a reboot and then got back in, and still my audio was not working. So I don't know. But anyway, the game actually worked out fairly well. Speakers, it was on my speakers, so it was blaring through the room, and they're able to pick me up on the laptop speaker, even though it's like 3 feet away from where I'm sitting. But last time we left the players, they had just finished being attacked by 4 brew, one of which had 12-point skin, so it was next to impossible kill, but got demoralized, so it ran off. We did that whole chase sequence thing with the chase rules in Runequest, which are similar to, so I think were probably picked up from Call of Cthulhu 7th edition. I don't know. They were in parallel kind of thing. But anyway, chased him down. The cats managed to actually get him down, chopped off his head. Well, turns out that brew plus one of the other brew both had diseases. They both had the wasting disease, which attacks your strength. And so had one of the players lost the brew and everybody else midstream, so he had to just go back by himself, but he's got decent tracking, so he figured his way back. And the rest of the party, found their way back. They're helped up by the fact that Arandra, the Earth Priestess, started a pyre and started burning the brew bodies because full of disease, right? And I know previously, Bruce, one of my players, and I, discussing Runequest rules and stuff, because I had an issue with perceiving how disease spirits worked, because I've been running some one-shots at conventions that there are disease spirits involved, right? And I don't really think about it too much, but I started wondering, because my perception was if a brew or whatever has a disease spirit, in them, right? They're passively possessed by the disease spirit, right? That in order for somebody else to get, because disease spirits cause disease, it's not germs and crud like that, because this is a mythological society. So it's the spirits that cause the disease. Well, my perception of that was the disease spirit moves from one person to the other. Spirit combat ensues, they overcome, they possess, and you get the disease. But that's not really how it works. And now that I think about it, that even makes sense that that's not how it works. So there's this whole saving throw system. If you come in contact with somebody who's got a disease spirit, you make a con ×5 roll. If you make it, you're okay. If you miss it, you get a mild case, and you make another roll. If you miss that one, you got an acute case instead. If you miss the next one, the severity increases, right? But it's not the spirit. The spirit is causing the disease. The spirit isn't possessing you to give you the disease. Because if you did that, then you'd kill off the host. That doesn't make any sense. So we talked through we didn't really talk through. We played through the rules. I should have talked about through it first, but had everybody making their con rolls, but there were 2 of the brews. So there were 2 contacts with disease spirits for everybody. Some people made all of them. A couple of guys missed both. And 2 actually got acute cases. On acute case, you're losing a point every day. Also, when you get the disease, you automatically lose a point. So, one guy lost 2 points of strength, and 1, 2, 3, or 4 others lost 1 point of strength. And 2 of these guys got acute cases, so they really shouldn't be doing anything. If we're going to treat disease, which is a skill, we need to keep them down all day. And then we get to do a treat disease roll, and if we're successful, then they get a modifier to their saving throw for that period, which is like ×2, so it's con ×10 instead of con ×5. So we're all setting that up, but I got a new player because one of the players had to drop out, and his parent was at the siege of Whitewall, or the campaign of Whitewall, and so I figured there's probably some family then involved with Whitewall. So he's in Jossie, whatever. They're a clan south of Clearwine in the Creek, north of Wilmskirk, and there's a lake there, Jakrat Lake, I think it's called. But he's a river god worshiper, and he's a fisherman by trade. And so I had him, visiting his cousins in Whitewall. In departing Whitewall, he and his party got attacked by a troop of brew. Some of the brew were killed. Some of the humans were killed. 2 of the brews survived. 3 humans survived. The 3 humans were captured and taken as slaves back somewhere, right? Actually, to this place. Further down. There's a bunch of missing folks in the area. There's a couple reasons for that. One of the reasons is the brew. There we go. So the party's up in the morning. There's some listen and scan rolls made. One of the hunters notices, hey, there's a handful of guys, maybe a half dozen of them. They're coming up the trail. Looks like they're probably on that roadway that we came up on. So they split forces. A bunch of them go to the north side of the platform, north to ambush, and then the hunter goes to the south side so we can shoot from the rear. There's some miscommunication or misunderstanding of the actual tactical situation. So I started drawing large scale on the small scale, maybe on the large scale. You know, 1 hex isn't 1 hex. It's like more than that kind of thing. Just basic directions and stuff. So okay, that's what we're doing. Yes, we do that because I was following part of it, but there's another piece that I couldn't quite follow because they wanted to wait till the troop had passed them, shoot the last guy. Well, because at this point they it's more scan rolls. There's a brew in front, 3 guys dragging something, and a brew in back. So we're going to wait till they pass by, shoot the brew in back when the brew in front gets shot at by the other hunter. Well, because of distances and stuff, he would not have any line of sight. Yeah. So that's what I drew out. Well, okay, this is what we're doing. Okay, so they get set up. So the guy is actually out on the corner where he can shoot the back brew at the same time that the other hunter shoots the front brew. The front brew gets missed. The back brew gets hit first time, doesn't do much, but the second one was a special to his leg, put him down. We had to retcon this because the hunter in front should have got second shot off, but he didn't. After he shot, everybody else ran around because they wanted to do a blocking position. They didn't want the brew to be coming this direction. They want to keep him out on this pathway so that both archers can keep shooting at him, right? And then, you know, tell the humans, run, hide, you know, that kind of thing. Basically works all right. The brew in front, though, sees the brew in back get killed, sees all these guys running at him. So he takes off. We do a really short chase mechanics sequence because the cast got a critical, one of the casts got a critical, and large one of the humans got a critical, and so they caught right up to him. So we do a couple little attack things, and they put him down. But he gets far enough into the woods that if the archers are shooting, there's a % chance that even if they would have hit him, they would have missed because they hit a tree or branches or something, right? I would use a power kind of power roll mechanic on, okay, did you actually get a clear shot or not? I use the same sort of things where if you're actually in a tree trying to shoot down, are there, you know, branches in the way? Leaves just subtract damage kind of thing maybe, or it could modify your to hit. You know, there's something in there I'll play with. That's the idea of my mechanics in that. So they decide, okay, we won't shoot, we don't lose arrows. Plus, the guys that got criticals, there's actually melee going on, and you get shooting the melee is a real nasty thing. We talked about that early on as well, about how if there's, you know, you're fighting the brew and Lars is fighting the brew and you're going to shoot at them, you divide your percentage in half, % to hit. So if you got 100%, you got a 50% chance to hit the guy you wanted, the brew, right? If you make that roll, you hit the brew, no problems. If you miss that percentage but hit less than your chance to hit, then you hit one of them. Just roll randomly to see which one. So we had a little discussion about, hey, that's dangerous, don't do that. You know, if there's 3 divided by 3, and then only 1/3 chance of hitting the guy if you missed him, but still hit somebody, you know, that kind of thing. And for the detail of the tactics with hex grids and this kind of squishiness with mechanics for melee, they don't really mesh so well. Then when we were doing Fancy Trip, it was very tactical. I got line of sight. I don't need to worry about anybody. I can shoot in between people, you know, that kind of thing. So I still got that roll in the back of my head because I use a lot of Fancy Trip modifiers for home rules. But I don't remember who killed him, but he got killed. So they drag his body back to put in the pyre. The other hunter moves up on the other brew, doesn't want to get too close, but wants to kill him. So his percentage was high enough, I just say, okay, a couple shots, he's dead. I just had him roll just to see if he might have, you know, automatic miss. A 96 or higher is an automatic miss, you know, that kind of thing, or a fumble. He didn't. He got a normal hit, so he's dead. They didn't say it, but I assume they dragged him back and put him in the pyre as well. They free the humans. One of them is the new player, and they were dragging a cart. This cart had all their gear in it. The new player, when I told him, you know, my plan of bringing him in as a prisoner kind of thing, his first question was, did they take all my gear? Do I have any stuff? You know, that kind of thing. And I didn't want to be that brutal would the brew have kept his gear? Possibly. There might be a purpose for keeping the gear, and so I let him keep it. That's what's in the cart, all their gear and stuff. They're obviously not going to wear it or let him keep anything on them, that kind of thing. They stripped him down, tied him up, and tied them to the cart. The slaves were dragging the cart, and then the lead brew had the lead rope to the slaves, and the brew and back had a whip kind of thing. Keep going, shut up. So they recover, and we make some acute wasting disease rolls, and they were successful in treat disease on one of them. So that guy made his roll, so he now has a mild case, in which case he loses a point strength every week. And they don't need to do anything special on taking care of him. They just do a treat disease on him periodically or whatever. Here, drink your soup, that kind of thing. But the priestess has a restore health spell, which will allow her to restore some of these lost strength points. Doesn't do anything with the disease, so they're still going to keep rolling as time goes by, but it removes the subtraction. So the guy who lost 2 points, she went ahead and spent 2 of her rune points to give him 2 strength points back. And then she volunteers to stay behind with the single acute case now, to try and take care of him while everybody else goes down the stairs. After the fight, they noticed that on the north side of the building, there's actually 2 sets of what probably had been stairs at one point, but because of all the rubble stuff, it's just kind of almost like a ramp with steps built into it, kind of thing, or highly eroded steps, that kind of thing. Would they be able to take the cart up it? Yeah, maybe. Wouldn't have been very easy, but yeah, they could have, I suppose. So everybody else, next morning, everybody else up onto the platform, the platform, right? And then down the stairs. And it's just pretty deep. It's like 70 meters. And then there's this room. They've got one guy with a lantern. And they've got some torches. Eventually they could go ahead and let it torch. Torches don't last that long. That's the problem with torches. They provide a decent amount of light. Oh yeah, more than a lantern does, right? Or a lamp. And but they burn out pretty quick. I just made an estimate that lasts like an hour, whereas a lantern will last like 8 hours. Sorry, guys. And so during part of this next piece of the scenario, at one point they'll go, "I'll get real large torch." Anyway, I get down there, and it's rank's not the right word. It's pungent, smell all throughout. It's like ammonia, right? All throughout this entire, and it's fairly large. It's like 10 meters? 10 meters by 10 meters. Ceiling's about 30 feet high. You hear squeaking, right? And the fluttering of wings, so obviously there's bats, all kinds of bats up there. Eventually they figure out that the stuff on the ground is guano. There's just muck that they're walking through. And they're looking for trails and stuff. And sure enough, there's a small, a shallow or narrow or singular trail heading straight north. And then another one that veers, another one much more heavily trafficked, heading off to the west. So they decide to go north. And there's this archway at the other end instead of a door or anything. And they look at the archway, trying to figure out, trying to age the building, the structure kind of thing. And they weren't able to tell anything, but everything's been plastered over and had been painted, with bright colored paintings of ceremonies and stuff in the past. So it's all peeling, it's all faded, that kind of thing. But they weren't able to determine, it's just generic, some kind of ceremonies, people all gathered together, altars and that kind of thing, high priest or somebody in the back, that kind of stuff. So they move through, and there's a barrel vault on the other side with pillars running down parallel pillars running down, not the middle, but the sides, and against the wall, but they're out. And so the guy in front, walks between the first two pillars. He's waiting for somebody to jump out and attack. No attack. And so they go further in. They get to the far end, and there's this pile of rubble and stuff. Looks like it may have been a statue at one point. They start digging around looking for stuff. They couldn't find anything. Well, one of them was digging around stuff. And there are two doors, one on each side. So they listen to the one on the left. And inside he can hear some moaning and some grunts. So he tells everybody, hey, there's somebody on their side of this thing. Something's going on. So they go over, and this actually has a thumb latch, with a handle with a thumb latch. So using like a move quietly kind of thing, silently try and push the door open, but the door doesn't move. And so he tries to shove it open, and this door's actually spiked. And so there's a strength versus strength roll going on here. And he misses that roll, and then Lars has the gauntlet with the strength spell in it, so he casts a strength spell and he just pops it right open. And they're confronted with these four Trollkin, two of which are surprised and jump back, although they're all like prepared. They got their clubs out and the shields. They should really have spears. I should have changed that. But in the back behind them are two dark trolls. One of which is laying down, and the other one which is like leaning over tending him kind of thing. So they try to do some communication rolls, and the first one asks, one of the players asks, what are you doing here? And luckily enough, the dark troll understood him and said something back, but nobody understood that. And then the party asks something else, but he didn't understand, so he's kind of leaning up on his shoulder looking at him, and he says something to the Trollkin. The Trollkin kind of stand back. He eventually gets up, and he's using his maul as a cane. And they're trying to communicate, and they start using some sign language. They get a couple things across. The dark troll has been wounded. The party wants to help, but hey, it took a while for me to get across. This guy's bandaged up already. That kind of thing. And so they just kind of, okay, we're going to leave. See ya. So they close the door. The Trollkin respike it. They go to the other door. They open it up, and it's stuck. It's not spiked or anything, but it's stuck. So it does take a strength roll, just something that's fairly easy. But again, he missed that first one, so Lars pushes it open. I think Lars said he was going to help him. Pop. Door pops open. There's two giant centipedes. When I say giant, I'm talking about a size 30-ish. These are 5 to 6 meters long. They're like, the bodies are like this, right? And so they both shut immediately. And they start talking among themselves about, what they're going to do, how they're going to deal with this. Actually, just before this, it was 11:41. I remember, because I looked at my clock, so one of my players said that he's got to get up early to go to drive to New York. So we need to try to wrap it up close. They decided, let's go through this one combat. This one combat lasted about an hour. Combat's never fast in RuneQuest. No, it could be, though. So they got this plan. They're going to open the door, allow the centipede or two to come out, slam the door on it, try and cut it in half kind of thing. And there's a guy with a net who's going to, the fisherman's got a net, and he's got a special net spell, which means this net has like an infinite strength. Doesn't get damaged. You try and throw the net on the giant centipede so it gets all wrapped up. And there's two other guys with weapons. One other guy with weapons who can attack. So we arrange up a semicircle kind of thing. And so they pop open the door. Centipede comes through. They pull the door shut. Doesn't do any damage at all to the centipede. The centipede bites one of the guys in the leg, but doesn't do any damage. Melee ensues. So the centipede does this little wraparound thing on the guy it bit. Continue to bite on him. Ends up biting him in the face. Got a special, did 10 points of damage. Knocked him down to -4 out of. He's got 5 hit points in his head. Goes to -4. Did 10 points. Wait, 1 point of armor. puts him down. He's unconscious. He'll die in 5 rounds. The centipede continues to chew on him. Everybody's hacking the centipede. They get a few legs here and there. That's not true. That was the second centipede. The second centipede that did all that stuff. But it got damaged enough where, okay, it's going to turn tail and run. So it takes off. But its body still has area near where Lars, they got the strength gauntlet and the broadsword is, and he hits enough to kill it. The first one, Lars hacked at it, got a special midsection. Didn't chop it in half, but did enough damage to it that it was incapacitated, so it's essentially dead. Wasn't until the very last giant centipede attack that I realized these suckers have a 3d6 damage bonus. That would have killed the hunter that he bit in the face with that impale. Impale should have skipped. It sounded like a crit, but I fudged it to an impale. Yeah, that crit would have done some things. That would have killed him. Probably outright. Because we just talking about it after the game was over, talking about, I completely forgot these guys have got damage bonus, and it's 3d6. So I rolled 3d6 out there, it was 14 points. That would have put him at minus 15, that's triple damage. It would have killed him outright. So I've decided to rearrange, you remember my little spreadsheet with these things on it? I've rearranged it so that the damage bonus is actually listed right next to the weapons now. And I moved some stuff around so that it's not all this teeny print across it. I'm going to go to the portrait rather than landscape, and I'm going to try reprinting them out in sections by room kind of thing, so that help me keep track of stuff. Because I flip through things back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and I need to clean that up so it's easier for me to do. Prepare, play, present. There. So it's better and easier for me to present to the players. And that's, well, we didn't end there. They took the head of one of the giant centipedes. There was a statue in there that they found the head of that statue. Oh, and somebody else found the head of the other statues. They're bringing the statue heads to them, and they go back to the little camp out area where Arandra and Ferran are. And that's where we ended the session. A couple good combats, some good role play, a lot of communication stuff trying to go on. They still don't know what the Dark Trolls are doing in here. They are, if not in, very close to Troll Woods, so that's why there are trolls here. But we're getting close to 30 minutes, so that's my session. Happy gaming.